Breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBC light heavyweight champion, the monster, David Benavidez is going to be defending his world title versus Anthony Yarde in November in Riyadh season. Turki Alalshikh just took it to his Twitter account, well, formerly known as Twitter, and tweeted, "The Mexican monster David Benavidez will be making his Riyadh season debut in the month of November, when he defends the WBC light heavyweight world title against a dangerous challenger, and his name is Anthony Yarde." Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's a good matchup. That's a good matchup in the light heavyweight division. As we all know, I did want to see David Benavidez versus Dimitri Bivol, and I felt like, damn, Turki Alalshikh try to sabotage that fight because Dimitri Bivol was ready to go to PBC and make that deal with David Benavidez. And of course, you already know that David Benavidez have earned the spot in 168 as a mandatory challenger to face Canelo Alvarez, and that didn't come through fruition. Turki Alalshikh tried to make that fight, and it didn't come through fruition. Even PBC sent an offer to Canelo Alvarez $50 million guaranteed to make that fight, and Canelo Alvarez just didn't want the fight. So, of course, David Benavidez was forced to move to the 175-pound division, and then he worked his way to put himself in the position to fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol. As we all know, the light heavyweight rivalry and back and forth of Dimitri Bivol and Beterbiev has been one of the most interesting matchups and rivalries in the sport of boxing, in which we eventually gonna be watching a trilogy. Yeah, I still wanted to see David Benavidez get his opportunity because he fought to get a position as a mandatory challenger to get that opportunity. We didn't see him get that opportunity at 168. We wanted him to get we wanted to see him get an opportunity in the 175-pound division, in which it would have been an intriguing matchup between him and Bivol or him and Beterbiev. But this is also a good matchup. Anthony Yarde has made a good account of himself in his last outings and stuff like that. Excuse me. But I think in the light heavyweight division, I think this was the best name opponent, available opponent. You already know that David Benavidez is the WBC champion because they had to strip Dimitri Bivol for not fighting David Benavidez, who was the mandatory, right? And right now, the currently mandatory is going to be Artur Beterbiev, but he's going to be fighting, of course, in the trilogy, Dimitri Bivol. David Morrell was the second, is ranked number 2nd, but we already seen David Benavidez beat David Morrell. We seen David Benavidez beat the 3rd ranking through the WBC in Alexander Vazik. And we seen him, Alberto Ramirez. We haven't seen that matchup, but Anthony Yarde or Buatsi would have been a good matchup for David Benavidez as a name, and it's going to be an intriguing matchup, I believe, in which David Benavidez, I believe, is going to win. But we're going to see a good Anthony Yarde made a good account of himself. Also, in that card, I believe we're going to have Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. So we're going to see already the November Riyadh season card is turning out to be a good card to invest. Buy the pay-per-view and even travel over there. We see entertaining fighters, right? Brian Norman Jr. did his thing in Japan. David Benavidez is also did his thing versus David Morrell, and Anthony Yarde been doing his thing, right? But I do like the matchup. I got to give kudos to Turki Alalshikh because I did wanted to see the matchup between David Benavidez and Dimitri Bivol. Not saying that I don't want to see the trilogy. It's just that we seen 24 rounds of a good technical fight. Nothing really exciting. The last victory that Anthony Yarde had was Lyndon Offer. He has 4 straight victories and stuff like that after his defeat from Artur Beterbiev himself. But for the past years, you know, Anthony Yarde has made a good account of himself, and I think he's going to bring something good to the table and going to bring some type of a challenge to David Benavidez. But I think that, you know, with Anthony Yarde, with his heart and going for the gusto, I think that David Benavidez is going to pick him apart in the later round, just like Artur Beterbiev did, or probably even better because of the combination punches, and David Benavidez just willing to go out there. You know, I think that his defense is underrated as well. I think it's going to be a younger, fresher than when Anthony Yarde fought Artur Beterbiev. But let me know what you think about this matchup. It's a great fight. It's going to be a great event. Shout out to Turki Alalshikh. Shout out to David Benavidez and PBC Al Heyman working with Turki Alalshikh. That's a good. I think that's a good business partnership there. And Anthony Yarde as well. I believe that Anthony Yarde is still with Queensbury with Frank Warren. So it's good to see everybody getting along, doing business together. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know y'all tuning into Punch Wrong Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Moonshine himself. Love y'all. God bless. Subscribe, and on to the next.